Good morning, welcome to GTV Breakfast News. I am Maltiti Saida Sadiq. We're bringing you all the stories making headlines this morning on DSTV on channel 278 on social media all across Facebook, YouTube, Twitter at GTV Ghana, where we're streaming live. We have a loaded show for you, but let's start off with the news. We'll do agriculture, we'll do health, we'll do business, politics, and then we'll take it to the international front. Let's start off with government's plans to plant 10 million trees for this year's Green Ghana Day. Now, field assessment report shows that of the 31 million trees that were planted between 2021 and 2022, there was a 72% survival rate for 2022 as against 81% for 2021. Now, more resources are to be committed to ensure that the quest to restore the country's degraded lands is achieved. At a media briefing in Accra, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Samuel Abujinapo, said the 2023 tree planting exercise has been scheduled for June 9. Clara Mlano reports.
5 million trees were planted in 2021. The number was scaled up to an ambitious 20 million in 2022. But for this year, the number is reduced to 10 million trees. In the two preceding years, government exceeded its target by planting 7 million trees in 2021 and some 24 million in 2022, bringing the total number of trees planted to over 31 million. The reduction in the number of seedlings for the June 2023 planting season is to allow for the properly nurturing and effective monitoring of the growth of the existing ones.
While adequate measures were put in place to ensure the survival of all trees planted, a number of external factors accounted for the survival rate, including rainfall patterns, wildfires, and soil fertility. Nonetheless, the survival rate shows that we still have some 23 million trees to nurture. It is for this reason that this year, government has decided to revise our target downwards to 10 million trees. This will give us space to devote some resources and attention to the trees planted over the last 2 years, while not losing momentum on our quest to restore our degraded landscape.
Of the 10 million seedlings, 6 million will be planted in on-reserve and the remainder, 4 million, of reserve areas.
Next month, May, the official launch of the Green Ghana Day will be done graciously by His Majesty the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II at the Great Hall of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi. And as always, seedlings will be made available here at the Ministry, the district offices of the Forestry Commission, and at various designated locations for collection on the Green Ghana Day. Detailed schedule of the seedling distribution and pickup points will be published in due course.
This year's tree planting campaign is on the theme, Our Forests, Our Health.
Now, the Ghanaian woman who is forging new horizons with groundbreaking ideas is being celebrated. Intellectual Property Day 2023 celebrates the can-do attitude of women investors, creators, and entrepreneurs around the world. In Ghana, about 44% of micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises are owned by women, with many oblivious to the importance of intellectual property, their assets, and its relevance to commercializing their businesses. Now, this year's celebration focuses on women and IP, accelerating innovation and creativity.
Women in all regions are shaping the world through their imagination, ingenuity, and hard work as solutions that support a sustainable future of businesses. Men inventors tend to receive much more credit and recognition for their inventions and creations. An overwhelming number of women inventors, however, have gone without the benefits to their names.
Thriving businesses are being established by women day by day. New innovations and ways of doing business and delivering services are constantly being introduced to the general public by women. As a country, we do not want to repeat mistakes of the past. Everyone, everywhere, can use IP rights to protect their creativity.
In many parts of the world, like Ghana, studies show that SMEs that use intellectual property rights perform better than those companies that do not use the intellectual property system. Women are encouraged to see IP rights as a powerful tool for job creation and business growth.
Intellectual property rights is more than a legal right. With the right investment and infrastructure, IPR is a great catalyst for creativity, innovation, jobs, business growth, and largely an enhancer of economic and social development. There is therefore a critical need to develop the relevant structures and investments for an inclusive IP environment that works for all sectors and stakeholders across the country.
For the next 2 days, the Intellectual Property Office has set up a clinic for all women engaged in innovative and creative activities. World Intellectual Property Day raises awareness about patents, copyrights and trademarks. It celebrates talent and creativity, recognizing the contributions that creators and inventors make to our world. For GBC News, Shirley Annan reporting.
Still on the issues of women thriving, President Akufo-Addo has formally submitted the name of Chief of the Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Gertrude Araba-Esaba Tokonu, to the Council of State as the next Chief Justice nominee. Her nomination is subject to approval by Parliament. Now, when approved by Parliament, Justice Tokonu will replace Justice Kwesi Yeboah, who will soon retire as Chief Justice with a mandatory retirement age of 70 for Justices of the Courts of Appeal and the Supreme Court. In the letter to the Council of State dated April 25th, 2023, President Akufo-Addo said Justice Tokonu, who has been on the Supreme Court for the last 4 years, has been a member of the judiciary for the last 19 years and is duly qualified and eminently fit to discharge the functions of Chief Justice. Let's take you to the Ashanti region. Some unfortunate news as a 19-year-old Prince Opong is said to have drowned in a well at Yaokwe in the Asante Akim Central Municipality of the Ashanti region. According to a witness, the 19-year-old Prince Opong was fixing a plumbing pipe into the well to enable him draw water into a tank. However, while on the fixing, the pipe fell into the well, and in an attempt to remove the pipe from the well, Prince Opong fell into the well. By the time a rescue team from Konongo Fire Station got to the scene, residents around were able to retrieve and handed the body to the police. The body of Prince Opong has since been deposited at the Stewart Morgue at Yaokwe. Let's still stay in the Ashanti region and look at health now. It will be difficult for Ghana to achieve universal health coverage if priority is not given to primary health care, particularly in rural communities. The Council Chairman of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Sefa Sapong Bediako, made this observation at the first senior managers meeting of the Ghana Health Service in Kumasi.
The senior managers meeting of the Ghana Health Service was on the theme enhancing primary healthcare approaches towards achieving universal health coverage. It was attended by senior officers of the service drawn from all the 16 regions and key partners, sponsors and agencies that have been working closely with the Ghana Health Service over the years to improve health outcomes. The Council Chairman of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Sefa Sapong Bediako, underscored the need to strengthen primary health care coverage in particularly rural communities to bolster the country's chances of achieving universal health coverage.
Health system and universal health coverage are built on foundations of primary health care for universal health coverage. To be achieved, we must strengthen our primary health care to make it more resilient.
The Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar Boaje, reviewed some achievements chalked in the country's 2022 health performance.
Health is a business and you promise to increase your OPD attendance by 10%. Mortality indicators such as institutional infant mortality, neonatal mortality, under 5 mortality rates, institutional maternal mortality rates also decreased significantly.
The Minister for Health, Mr. Kwekwagyima Menu, announced that Parliament has approved the Vaccines Institute Bill, which would pave the way for the establishment of laboratories in the country to manufacture vaccines. He said this would help prevent future vaccine shortages, as witnessed recently in the case of childhood vaccines. All actors in the health sector ought to step up efforts to help Ghana achieve universal health coverage.
To begin to produce vaccines, not only COVID vaccines, but the traditional vaccines that we are using. And I believe when we are there, the idea of possible shortages will be forestalled once and for all.
Let's bring you back to the capital. Placing importance on child online protection in Ghana's national cybersecurity policy is to help address the risks that children in the online space face. Now, this the Cybersecurity Authority has done through programs such as the National Cybersecurity Challenge. To this end, 50 schools from the 16 regions would be participating in the second edition of the National Cybersecurity Challenge in Accra.
Ghana's population is one of the most connected, with 50% of its citizens able to go online in Africa. Comparatively speaking, Ghana has also done well in protecting these online users when looking at efforts across the continent. Checkpoint Research recorded that it had the second lowest number of weekly cyber attacks per organization amongst 14 countries surveyed across Africa last year. This, the Cybersecurity Authority believes, has been achieved through programs such as the National Cybersecurity Challenge for senior high schools. Speaking at the launch of this year's National Cybersecurity Challenge, a member of the Child Online Protection Unit, Madam Henrietta Samoa, said 50 schools from the 16 regions will be competing this year. According to the Acting Director of Child Online Protection, Madam Ifwa Brown-Eisen, last year's competition has led to a growth in awareness in cybersecurity issues.
One of the outcomes is to have cyber clubs in the schools. So for Northern Business School last year, they even went further to do awareness creation in their region. They'll go to radio stations. That's the students who participated now became peer educators for their peers and also for their communities. So what we do, and they send us reports regularly. So what we do is we keep an eye on them. We'll be also keeping an eye on the cyber clubs. But the major issue is to keep the conversation of being cyber hygiene as much as possible for all students.
An ambassador of the National Cybersecurity Challenge, Mr. Kafui Day, spoke of how he would positively impact the cybersecurity awareness campaigns.
I found out just today that Ghana is very high in terms of WhatsApp usage, number 3 worldwide. And of course, there are benefits, but also threats to young people. And so I'm looking forward to highlighting the threats, getting the information out, using my various platforms on social media to get the message out to the young people for whom this message will be very vital.
This year's edition has the country divided into the northern, middle, eastern and southern zones.
Still on cybersecurity and awareness of child safety online, renowned TV and radio host with GTV Breakfast, Kafui Day, has been unveiled as the brand ambassador for the National Cybersecurity Challenge. Now, children's safety online is a priority of the National Cybersecurity Authority, and to this end, they have mapped out programs to deal with the alarming risks children face online. Kafui Day, who is also an author, auctioneer, public speaking coach, and a lecturer at the Ghana Institute of Journalism, rose to fame in 2009 when he started hosting Who Wants to Be Rich, which was a Ghanaian TV show based on the original British format of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Now, he joined GTV's rebranded breakfast show in 2021. Kafui Day hosts the headline segment of the breakfast show, sitting with leaders in government, civil service, and young leaders to proffer solutions to Ghana's development needs. Kafui Day is known for how comfortable he makes his interviewees feel and his sense of humor, as well as how he pushes for promotion of Ghanaians' local languages and content. He's an author. His first book is How to MC an Event events, which he does flawlessly. Now, as a brand ambassador for the Cybersecurity Challenge, Kafride aims to champion the campaign for online safety for children through both traditional, and that's Ghana Television, and new media, as well as oversee the second edition of the Cybersecurity Challenge. And from us, the crew, the team at GTV Breakfast, we're so proud of you, Kafride. Keep winning those laurels, and we look up to you. We want to be like you when we grow up. Congratulations. Let's move on now. It's a call for Ghana to raise the bar on her human rights record as Amnesty International Ghana turns golden. Against the backdrop of a changing human rights landscape, key priority areas include stamping out violations to the right to freedom of expression and police use of excessive force, ending forced evictions, abolishing the death penalty, as well as protecting women and child rights. A report by Shelley Bewa.
Ghana continues to write her story in the fight for fundamental human rights of all citizens, achieving a couple of wins amidst many challenges. As Amnesty International Ghana launches its 2022-2023 Human Rights Report and celebrates its 50th anniversary, the challenge remains above all to hold states, which have ultimate responsibility for delivering human rights, accountable.
To what extent are we willing as individuals and as people called upon to be actors in the human rights space to demand for justice in this space? We are so good at making a lot of noise, and sometimes very needless noise, when violations happen, and we take very little action to address those violations. And for me, it is really, really worrying.
As an authoritative voice on human rights, the country director of Amnesty International Ghana, Ms. Genevieve Patterson, says the 50-year milestone denotes looking back from baby steps in 1973 and celebrating the headway that has been achieved to advance human rights.
It is a call to government, policymakers, civil society, and individuals like you and I to take steps to promote and protect human rights for all. We must work together to ensure that human rights are not just a theoretical concept, but a reality for all individuals. We must continue to advocate for laws and policies that protect human rights and hold those who violate them accountable.
In solidarity, sister organizations including the Catholic Bishops' Conference, Action Aid, WODAF, Child Rights International, SHRAJ, Human Rights Reporters Ghana, and ACAT Ghana want all Ghanaians to actively stand up for human rights, including awareness raising, speaking out against abuse, and leaders to uphold human rights. For GBC News, Shelley Bewa reporting.
On matters of security and trade, President Akufo-Addo and Austria's Chancellor Mr. Karl Nehammer have affirmed their commitment to collaborate on the multilateral level and tackle emerging threats such as issues of terrorism, maritime piracy and border security in West Africa. During bilateral talks at the Jubilee House in Accra, President Akufo-Addo and Chancellor Nehammer resolved to join forces to promote democracy in the region and globally. President Akufo-Addo called on Austria to support AFCFTA's infrastructure development. Chancellor Nehammer promised to establish an Austrian embassy in Ghana.
This is the first time in about 5 decades of Ghana-Austria diplomatic relations that an Austrian head of government is visiting the country. Austrian Chancellor Mr. Karl Nehammer's visit to Ghana consolidates and advances the cordial bilateral relations between Ghana and Vienna. He was at the seat of government, the Jubilee House in Accra, to meet with President Akufo-Addo. Discussions between the two centered on economic growth, trade and investment promotion, security, climate resilience adaptation, peace and security within West Africa. They also looked at UN Security Council reforms, the Russian-Ukraine conflict and the effects of COVID-19, as well as treatment meted out to illegal migrants. President Akufo-Addo said these issues are critical to Ghana, West Africa and Africa.
A major outcome of our meeting today is the affirmation of our commitment to collaborate further on tackling emerging security threats within the region, particularly on issues of terrorism, border security, and maritime piracy. We also will resolve to work together to promote democracy in the region and reiterated firmly our mutual stance against unconstitutional changes in government. Ghana has also called on Austria to lend its support to the African Continental Free Trade Area, whose secretariat is located in Accra.
Austria's Chancellor, Mr. Karl Nehammer, said relations between Accra and Vienna in the past 4 decades has been fruitful, but his visit is to scale up the already existing relations on a win-win basis, including establishing an embassy in Accra.
Today we confirmed our commitment to seal this cooperation with a military cooperation agreement between our two governments. In this context, I wish to laud the leading role of Ghana and its armed forces as an anchor of regional security in a challenging geopolitical environment. Austria is proud to assist Ghana in this very demanding endeavor. Our second priority is to foster our trade relations. We are currently in the process of assessing where to open new embassies around the world, and you announced it already. I can tell you that Accra is very high on my priority list.
Ghana and Austria signed 2 strategic bilateral agreements, which are Memorandum of Understanding on Political and Economic Consultations, which will set the framework of greater bilateral cooperation between the two countries. The second agreement was a military cooperation agreement between Ghana and Austria.
Applause to
Still on the Austrian Chancellor's visit, the Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia and the visiting Chancellor Mr. Karl Nehammer on Wednesday morning addressed the Ghana-Austria Business Summit in Accra. Now the two put forward their respective trade and investment proposals, while Chancellor Karl Nehammer is targeting trade and investment partnership of equals. Dr. Bawumia demonstrated Ghana's readiness for trade and investment from which he will benefit.
Chancellor Karl Nehammer's visit to Ghana is part of a 4-day tour to Africa. He is also scheduled to make stops in Angola and Egypt. The Austrian Chancellor is accompanied by a high-ranking business delegation led by Austria's Minister for Agriculture, Mr. Norbert Totschnig. Chancellor Nehammer's visit is to enhance economic, energy and raw material issues, the ultimate goal of which is mutual benefit solutions that create prospects for the people of Africa. The Ghana-Austria Business Summit has its sights on expanding trade, particularly in renewable energy, waste management and environmental technologies. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia said Ghana is ready for trade and investment from the Austrian business delegation.
We are quite optimistic about the future, and our vision is to enhance Ghana's economic development through cooperation with advanced economies like Austria to take full advantage of the AfCFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Area. As a globally recognized industrial and manufacturing powerhouse, Austria clearly has the means and the capability to take full advantage of the AfCFTA. We welcome a framework that will ensure that Austrian investors participate in our growth story. We recommit to strategic partnership with the private sector and enhanced efforts for industrialization and productive transformation to achieve sustainable economic growth.
Chancellor Karl Nehammer said Austria wants to build a partnership of equals with Ghana for mutual benefit.
Trade between Austria and Ghana has increased significantly in the past year alone. We therefore see great potential for further positive developments. We also believe that both our countries and our citizens will benefit from an even more intensified cooperation and partnership. Our vision is one of a partnership of equals. That's very important for me, a partnership of equals for a mutually beneficial and thriving future. And in this sense, Austria is currently working on a genuine Africa strategy, and we are keen on receiving your advice and input for such a strategy.
A €30 million memorandum of understanding was initialed between Finance and Industrial Machinery Africa of Austria and Just One Group of companies to cultivate and produce rice in Ghana.
Let's go to the international front. Let's start off from Sudan. A former Sudanese politician wanted for alleged crimes against humanity has said that he and other former officials are no longer in jail following reports of a breakout. Ahmed Haroun was among those being held in Koba prison in the capital Khartoum for facing charges by the International Criminal Court (ICC).
Between fighting military factions largely appears to be holding, but there are doubts about both parties' commitment to a lasting peace. The conflict, which began on April 15, arose from a bitter power struggle between the leaders of Sudan's regular army and a rival paramilitary group. Reports emerged earlier this week of a prison break at Kobe, where Ahmed Haroun was serving a sentence alongside Omar al-Bashir, Sudan's former president. In an audio message circulating on social media, Mr. Haroun claimed he and other former officials had decided to live with the help of prison guards and the armed forces. Mr. Bashir was ousted by the military after mass protests in 2019 and had been serving a jail sentence for corruption. The Sudanese army says the 79-year-old is currently at a military hospital and was moved there before hostilities broke out. Mr. Bashir is accused by the ICC of leading a campaign of mass killing and rape in Sudan's Darfur region, which he denies. Meanwhile, Mr. Haroun faces 20 counts of crimes against humanity and 22 counts of war crimes, also allegedly committed in the Darfur region between 2003 and 2004 when he served as the country's interior minister. The charges include murder, rape, persecution and torture. Mr. Haroun has also previously denied the ICC charges which were brought against him in 2007. He was arrested in 2019 following the coup against Mr. Bashir. Since then, the country has experienced frequent unrest and several other coup attempts.
Now let's look at health and some worrying alerts by the World Health Organization, as it had said that a batch of contaminated India-made cough syrup has been found in the Marshall Islands and Micronesia. The WHO said that the tested samples of guaifenesin TG syrup made by Punjab-based QP Pharmaceuticals Limited showed unacceptable amounts of diethylene glycol and ethylene glycol.
Compounds are toxic to humans and could be fatal if consumed. The WHO statement did not specify if anyone had fallen ill. The latest alert comes months after the WHO linked other cough syrups made in India to child deaths in the Gambia and Uzbekistan. The WHO statement said that the product, which is used to relieve chest congestion and cough symptoms, was tested by Australia's drug regulator, the Therapeutic Goods Administration. The syrup was marketed by Trillium Pharma, based in Haryana state. India is the world's largest exporter of generic drugs, meeting much of the medical needs of developing countries. But in recent months, many Indian firms have come under scrutiny for the quality of their drugs, with experts raising concerns about the manufacturing practices used to make these medicines. In October, WHO had sounded a global alert and linked 4 cough syrups made by Maiden Pharmaceuticals to the deaths of 66 children from kidney injuries in the Gambia. Both the Indian government and the company, Maiden Pharmaceuticals, had denied the allegations.
Drawing to the close of April, and let's see how weather will pan out today. Thursday, Felicity Hafian, Chief Meteorologist at GMA, joins us on the phone lines now. Good morning, Felicity.
Good morning, Mositi.
Hello, good morning, Felicity.
Good morning. How are you?
All right, I am well. I hope you're well too. How's the weather looking like for us today across the country?
Yeah, thanks so much, and good morning to our dear audience, for this morning, it's looking pretty cool for any outdoor activities. We expect the sun to be smiling, and then we expect some few clouds also. By late afternoon, we are expecting a rainstorm, which is currently in Nigeria. We are expecting in between 8 to 10 hours time to engulf the eastern flank of the country to induce cloudiness with possible thunderstorms with rain. And then those of us in Osi region, part of Savannah, Volta region, part of Eastern will be the first to be hit. And then later it will move over into the western flank where Ashanti, western North, Bono, Ahafo East, and then those of us in the western portions of the Savannah region will also have each year. But yes, will be towards the evening hours of today. Before the storm comes, we expect temperatures to be around 33 for Greater Accra, Central and Western region, 34, 35 for the middle sector, 37, 39 for the northern sector. For the state of the sea today, we are expecting it to remain rough. We are having some floating rain and thunderclouds, so fisherfolk can navigate, but they have to do it with caution. Volta Lake this morning till 2-3 p.m. It's also cool for any activities, but by that time, we expect the storm to engulf their area, so they have to be careful. And as usual, once the clouds keep gathering and it's becoming darker, the wind speed has.
Right. Thank you so much, Felicia Hafin. You're given that warning there that there's a storm moving in from Nigeria towards the eastern part of Ghana, Savannah region and its environs. So if you're going out, please be cautious. But that's it for GTV Breakfast News. There's more news when you log on to gbcghanaonline.com. I am Multi Decider Sadek. Up next, our chef is in studio. Secrets of bun loaves and cocoa. You'd want to see how that is done. And a happy birthday to Azaria Chumberima from your father and the Chumberima family. We hope you have a lovely and great day. I'll be back at 7 with sports. Stay with us.